Okay, we are live. Oh, it's on the play expectations? Okay. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Nick of Time show where we give you that Knicks talk just in the nick of time. It's kind of shaky because, Jay Ellis is not here tonight. Jay Ellis is currently on vacation, living a luxurious life. So I'm here hosting tonight. And here I'm with Lee from Posting and Toasting. I guess the audience is familiar with you as well. And if you want to, say a few nuggets about yourself, go ahead before we start the show.
Glad to be back, Ryan. Honored to be here, filling the void, covering day one of Knicks Summer League. We got the W. As you know, I'm a writer for Deadspin and Posting and Toasting, covering the NBA culture at large and covering the Knicks good, bad, and ugly on a weekly basis during the season. Excited to talk about this good win that we had tonight.
Yeah, man, most definitely. So before we get into the different topics tonight, I'm going to just go over some player stats with everybody right quick. So the Knicks tonight were led by Quentin Grimes, 24 points, 8 of 21 shooting from the field, 4 of 14 from three-point range, 8 assists, 4 rebounds. Feron Hunt with 17 points, played really good tonight, especially on the defensive end with guarding passing lanes. Also, Jericho Sims, 16 points, 10 rebounds, 2 blocks. Again, another impressive performance from Sims as well. What we expect from him. Miles McBride, 14 points, 7 assists. Daquan Jeffrey, 12 points. And it was just a pretty strong performance tonight as the Knicks beat the Warriors 101-88 in their Summer League debut. So let's get right into it. I think, before we got into the podcast tonight, me and Lee were talking about the 2 guys that we thought stood out tonight. And we thought number 1 was Sims, number 2 was Hunt. So I'm going to get into those 2 players at first. So, Lee, discuss what you saw from Sims tonight.
Man, he showed that he's earning that contract. I think that the team, the scouting department for the Knicks knew that Nerlens Noel was not a long-term solution as a backup. And so they were looking deep in the second round to find somebody who could help them up front because of Mitchell Robinson's injury history. And they got a guy who not only is an elite athlete, but keeps his head down, plays hard as hell, and is really a very strong rebounder. I would go as far as say I think he's now the strongest rebounder on the team alongside Julius Randle. Dude just has a knack for the boards. And I think when you look at the statistical line for today's game, it's not just the double-double he had in the third quarter. It's also the 3 offensive boards that he had as well. Those were like giant putbacks, right? Coming out of nowhere from the weak side, grabbing an offensive board, just jamming it right down the throat of the Golden State Warriors, who did have a decent sized lineup out there, not a traditional big with Wiseman being out, but had some big forwards and perimeter players clogging the lane. So I was really impressed with Jericho Sims' awareness. Him and Miles McBride had some moments where McBride, you can tell they had some chemistry, building chemistry upon last year, where he knew where Sims was going to be cutting. And Sims showed that lateral quickness he had last year. He has the ability to cross the floor and get in position for offensive rebounds and dunks. And he has a position to stretch out to the 3-point line and defend in spots. There were a couple missed assignments in tonight's game, but for the most part, I like the fact that he tries to get out there and defend, which is something that, Taj Gibson and Nerlens Noel just don't have the athletic capability of doing.
Yeah, man, I agree. I think what most impressed me about Sims tonight is just the fact that, because, a lot of times when guards switch on bigs, they see that as like barbecue chicken, like, I'm going to take this guy off the dribble and get to the basket. But with Sims, like, if I'm a guard, I'm not too hype about that matchup because Sims is a big that can actually stick with you. Like, I think there was one play, I believe it was in the first quarter where McClung was actually going one-on-one against Sims, like in the mid-range. And Sims stuck with him all the way and forced him into a bad shot. And Sims is just his athleticism, the fact that he can, get out on the perimeter, like you said, guard in spots and also guard the paint as well. Kuminga tried to bang it on him, but he went up and he rose up to the challenge and forced Kuminga to miss the dunk. And I think Sims just had a really good performance last night. I'm really impressed with what I saw from him tonight.
You know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of like a poor man's Jared Allen. They have a very similar game, kind of unpolished on the offensive end. I think Allen has a little more of a wider bag of tricks on the offensive end, but defensively and rebounding for someone who's I think Allen's like 6'10" and Sims is 6'9".
Yeah.
For someone who's relatively undersized center position, you cannot push those guys around the block. They box out, they get the rebound because they have their wide shoulders and their big girth around the stomach. Like those are two big dudes. And I think Sims could be a poor man's Jared Allen. And if he even plays at 60% that capacity, we'd have a stud on the bench.
Yeah, man. Like I know right now the Knicks starting rotation is Mitch Robinson, and then I know off the bench it's going to probably be Hartenstein backing him up. But I'm not worried about that third backup center in Sims because Sims looked like he's going to be an upcoming beast in these upcoming years once he develops more of his game.
When's the last time we could say that? Maybe back when we had what was the Russian Timofey Mostrov? It was the last time that we had a bench big with some promise, or maybe like Mitchell Robinson's rookie year. It's been a while since we've had someone that we're like, wow, this guy could be with the team for a while. And we got him on a really affordable deal too. I was glad that Leon Rose locked him up and showed his appreciation for the effort he put forth last year.
Yeah, man, most definitely. And Sims already has a spot on this roster. I want to get into another guy right now, Feron Hunt, who definitely showed up tonight. And if he continues playing like the way he played tonight, he's definitely going to push for a roster spot on the Knicks. So tell me your thoughts about Hunt tonight.
Man, I feel like my entire life has been leading to this moment because Feron Hunt was my favorite college player 3 seasons in a row. My girlfriend is an SMU alum, go Ponies. And we were at every basketball game for the Feron Hunt's last 3 years with the team. And they had some good runs, even going to the NIT and the dance one year. And Feron Hunt, even then, showed me that he could play some small ball center or some stretch four. The dude had a great 3-point shot in college. He was athletic, but what I loved the most about him was his motor. The team that SMU rolled out was very undersized, didn't have a lot of athletic ability because of his school being a private school. But Feron Hunt never gave up on offensive rebounds, loose balls, was always guarding the best player on the opposing team, and would still chip in 12, 14 points a night. I always said to myself, this guy has a frame and a 6'8", 6'9" height. He could get to the NBA and provide a 3-and-D capacity. And after bouncing around New Orleans and bouncing around the Mavs, now he's found a home with the Knicks. I think he's the perfect Tom Thibodeau player. And when I wrote my piece for Post and Toast on why to watch a summer league, one of them was Feron Hunt earning a spot on the regular rotation, the regular season. And he did tonight. He was fantastic.
Yeah, man, he's definitely one of the guys that stood out tonight. And I think the one thing I like about Feron Hunt is like he has a motor on him. Like he has a dog in him. You know what I mean? Like he's one of those players that he's just constantly moving, constantly trying. Like I think he jumped the passing like 3 or 4 times tonight with steals and creating them into baskets. I like the fact that on the fast break, he's definitely good at the fast break, finishing at the rim and stuff like that as well. So I think Hunt definitely would be a good addition if he keeps it up this summer league and I guess proves to the Knicks, coaches and staff that, he definitely deserves a spot on that roster. I think I'm probably going to get into Grimes right now because Grimes had a pretty good night tonight. I know he started off rough in the beginning. He was missing shots, and I think some of his 3-pointers were rushed. But he got into the groove as the game went on, and he also had 8 assists. So he definitely showed some playmaking capabilities as well, which was something that he needed to work on from last season. So tell me what you think about Grimes.
The good is that he didn't quit. He made his first shot, that first 3 of it he took, he knocked it down, and then he kind of went on a dry streak after that, but he didn't give up. I think he understood that roster-wise, he was the focal point of head coach Dice Yashimoto's offense with the summer league, and he took that responsibility on his shoulders and really balled out. He had some opportunities where I thought he could take some of his defenders one-on-one because Golden State had a few guys I thought were no matchup for him. And he had a history in college where there was a point in time where Grimes was the go-to man before he got to Houston. And I like the fact that he didn't give up. He took that offensive assignment to be that first option, and he tried his best to carry the team and carry that load. Some of the bad, man, he'd settle for that 3-point shot. I thought too much. Yeah. If I wanted to see anything from Grimes from last year, this year, it's develop that intermediate game more to be able to pull up off the dribble, to have a confidence in the mid-range, to knock that mid-range down or take this man off the dribble. And the handle is still a little shaky. The handle was shaky in Houston. I mean, and when his confidence dropped and he transferred to U of H, you saw that the handle was the main thing that left, and that's when his game transitioned more into a 3-and-D player. And I think he's going to be that for the rest of his career, just because he's seen that's where he's the most comfortable and the most effective. But the 3 ball wasn't falling. If it was, he probably would have dropped 35 points. We've seen what happened in Milwaukee last year in December when he dropped 28. He knocked down like 7 or 8 threes. I think it's a rookie record for the Knicks. So there was some good. There was some bad. The bright side is the things that were bad can be improved upon. Summer's not over yet. Training camp's not over yet. There's still time to grow.
Yeah, most definitely. Like you said, the fact that he didn't give up, because early in the game, I did have a few issues with him. Like I said, I did think he did settle for the 3 too much. Like you said, he's definitely took some quick threes as well, like some early clock threes where I'm like, instead of, settling for that shot, maybe try to pass the ball around to see if he can get a better shot, within the offense. But, as the game went on, like I said, like he got into the game and he was more effective, knocking in shots, finding teammates and stuff like that. So, like you said, I don't really see Grimes as more of a 3-and-D player. Like I see him like that's gonna be him 3-and-D. But like you said, some of the things that he did wrong in this game, he can definitely get better at. It's not something where it's like, oh, this is the end all be all. He can improve. Like he can improve. But overall, I do like what I saw from Grimes tonight.
I agree. He had the second highest plus minus on the roster at 17, only behind Daquan Jeffries, who was. Man, that dude he didn't shoot. He's got a really nice mid-range J and pull-up jump shot. But 14 threes for Grimes, unnecessary. Like the Nets' highest guy in the entire game was Miles McBride, took 8, 14, and you only made 4 of them for 28.6%. But at some point, you got to mix it up because the other opposing team's defense is starting to steam you. They know that you're settling for that jumper. They're going to double you. They're going to push you out from the perimeter line. Put the ball on the floor and try to get inside and drive more to the hoop. He did have 6 free throw attempts. That could have been 8 or 9, in my opinion, if he would have taken the ball, put the ball on the floor and tried dribbling a little bit more. He settled way too much for that 3-point shot. If you're going to take 14 shots, at least made 6 or 7.
Yeah, exactly. So Grimes, here that you gotta be more aggressive. So before we get back into the talk, I want to say what's up to the chat, because thank you for rocking with us tonight. It's not the usual lineup. I know Jails is missing, so I'm glad that y'all actually, took your time on a Friday night to actually watch us tonight. Shout out to JT Riddick as always, picks for Timmy, Fritz, Juan Carlos, Canal Band Lawyer, Henry. Thank you for sticking with us tonight. So the next player I want to get into is McBride. What are your thoughts about McBride tonight?
He looked calm. McBride was one of the guys that wasn't super hyped up to see what he did in Summer League, because in the G League, he dominated. Like the stats in the G League, it was such a huge contrast to how he played in that level of competition. And then once he got into a regular NBA game, the statistics just shrunk. And I think a little bit of that had to do with nerves, and a little bit had to do with the way his size and stature is. He was an undersized point guard. This game specifically, he's playing with the guys that he's practicing with all the time. Like, that him and Grimes, him and Sims, those guys are developing a rapport. He knows their spots. He's able to find them. And I think the assist ratio for McBride is indicative of that. With 7 assists, only 1 turnover, that's because he's playing with the dudes he's most comfortable playing alongside. He's not out there with Randall or Fournier or last year with Kemba Walker. He's playing with the guys that he knows the best, and he's able to put them in spots to succeed. I thought he did a job too controlling the pace and the tempo. He did a good job facilitating. He played great defense, the entire game.
Yeah, great defense.
That's one thing you can always depend on Miles McBride, is playing awesome defense. Overall, I was happy with it. Would have liked to see a little bit more scoring. But honestly, man, 14 points, pretty impressive for game 1.
Yeah, it's pretty decent. That's the one thing, the defense, especially in that first quarter. Like, he was giving McClung fits. Like, he was pretty much guarding him all 94 feet of the basketball court, giving that man hell. And yeah, McBride is, he basically gave you what you expect from him tonight. Great defense. He's a shot maker. He rises up for 3, can knock into 3. The one thing I would probably want to see more from McBride is breaking down the defense.
Yeah.
He didn't do a great job of breaking down the defense tonight, but besides that, the great defense, the 3-point shooting, and still, finding ways to get other teammates involved and kicking it out to the open man and stuff like that. So I think McBride had a pretty good game tonight.
He's got a really tight handle, and he's a really good athlete for even though he's a little undersized. He took 10 shots, 8 of them were threes. Would have liked to see a little bit more getting to the basket to be able to have open lines toward the cutters or hand off to the post for Sims. But I think that would come with time and feel as he gets more minutes and more playing time here in Summer League. By games 3 or 4, I think we're going to be seeing a different stat line from McBride.
Yeah, I hope so, because at least for me, like I love point guards that can't break down a defense. You know, I'm not really a fan of point guards that, you know, when they have the ball in their hands, they can't really do much with it, you know, and they're pretty much stuck on the perimeter because the guy that's guarding them locks them down. So it's like it's either they have to pass the ball off to the guy that's to the side, or they have to just throw up a shot. And that's what McBride was doing tonight for the most part. But like you said, like I'm hoping that as Summer League goes on, he'll get more and more comfortable, and we'll see more of him breaking down the defense, actually getting into the lane, and hopefully from there either finishing at the rim or kicking it out to the, you know, guy at the corner, you know, for the open three, or, you know, and stuff like that, you know, stuff that you really expect from your point guard.
You know, the Nets did a good job playing against the champions. I know, like, maybe Kaminga was really – Moses Moody played a little bit against Dallas, and Kaminga played a little bit against Memphis. But for the most part, the same sets and plays they're running is what the normal team runs. Yeah. Like, that's an extension of a culture and a discipline of the main rotation. So for us to come out and really lock them down defensively, and for McBride to be able to set the tone and control the pace against that level of disciplined roster, I found that to be a really impressive bright spot.
Yeah, most definitely. I definitely agree on that. And now I think, let me see, who's the next player I want to get into right now? I think, let me see.
What about Keels?
Yeah, Keels. Yeah, I was trying to think of. I was like, who's somebody else that we really need to concentrate on? And I'm like, yeah, Keels, a second round pick. Thank you, because I got a brain fart for a second. I'm trying to think of his name, and I was like, damn. But yes, Keels. What do you thought about Keels tonight?
He still needs to lose about 10 to 12 pounds. I know his body fat percentage was like 13.5. I think it was the 4th highest at the draft combine. And I think it was the highest for guards as well. He also tested really poorly in the 2 feet, like lateral jump. Mm-hmm. And that comes from his body mass and his fat index as well. He's got to get in better shape. Now, what I wanted to see was, did he look better and leaner from the point that he left Duke, which was now like 2.5 months ago since Dan stopped, to now? I didn't expect there to be like a drastic weight change. He hasn't gotten to Thibodeau's practices yet, but I didn't really see much of an increase in improvement physically from what I saw at Duke and what I saw here. He was really slow, getting out to the perimeter. When the guards came in, he was able to body up and not let anyone post him up because of his size and his decent wingspan. But when he had to go out to the perimeter and guard the shooters, he was always 2 to 3 steps late. I thought he was late in a lot of the rotations. He was getting beat in the pick and roll. He's still too heavy and too slow and methodical defensively. And offensively, that wear and tear playing defense affected his offensive game too, where he wasn't really able to have that much of an impact on offensive end. He only chipped in 3 points. I mean, dude was 1 of 8. Like, I don't think this is going to be a consistent trend we're going to see game to game for all 6 games of the Summer League. But I really wanted to see better conditioning and better approach and discipline in this first game as a starter. And I didn't see that. So overall, I was kind of honestly disgusted by at least the conditioning on his end, not necessarily the skill.
Yeah. Keels, to me, I'm not going to be crazy hard on him just because I know that he's still a young kid and he, you know, 2nd round pick. So you're not really expecting him to like show out, you know, his first Summer League game or whatever the case may be. But I do think it is kind of alarming that he did test at 13.5% body fat. Yeah, I do think that's kind of alarming right there, because at least the way I see things, like, to me, that shows your discipline per se. Like, yeah, I know you haven't been playing basketball from the time Duke seasons ended till the draft into Summer League, but at the same time, it's like you have to still keep your body in shape. That doesn't mean that, you know, you're on vacation and all of a sudden, you know, you can just let loose for a bit and then, you know, like, leave that to the veterans. The veterans can easily, like, you know, gain a little fat over the summer, and then once practices start, you know, during the regular season, that's when they start losing their weight and they get back to their form. Like, I think you as a rookie, like, you have to be disciplined with your body. Exactly. Me seeing that, to me, that's a red flag right there, because I'm like, you're on break, you're a rookie, and you're coming in with 13.5% body fat. That's not going to do it for me. But like you said, Keels, he definitely didn't have a good game today. He definitely struggled. But like I said, I'm not going to be crazy hard on him, just for the simple fact, there's not a lot of expectations on him coming into this season. I think more than likely he's probably going to be a G League player. I don't think the Knicks are going to really, I think he's going to probably be on a two-way contract. They're going to have him play in the G League and develop. And then, maybe at sometimes throughout the season, they might bring him up to the starting lineup if he shows out in the G League. But yeah, like lateral movement does need improvement. But like you said, that's probably due to the body fat. He did have a couple good plays, in the post. Of course, when you're big like that, you can, you're going to hold your own in the post. You're not going to be too easy to bully around and stuff like that. But overall, I think, Keels definitely had a rough first outing, but hopefully, as summer league goes on, he'll have better outings and show up more.
Yeah, I'm not going to have inflated expectations. He's not going to crack the rotation. There's just too many players that the front office wants to give minutes to see what they got. Reddish is going to have an opportunity before him. Grimes, Quickly, RJ, Fournier, like all those guys are going to get the opportunity to play and get extended minutes before Keels does, even after getting rid of Burks and Kemba Walker. So the opportunity's not there, but the red flags that you're talking about, those are the red flags that scouts saw pre-draft that made him drop from a late first round pick to second round. A lot of people are like, well, the shot wasn't there in college. He only shot around 31%. Like maybe it had come back, but it was the conditioning issues and the weight issues. I'm a big guy myself. I know when you're a couple pounds overweight, it really affects all mobility in every aspect. And those are the reasons why his stock dropped in the draft. And especially after the combine, when he was the third worst of the shuttle run too, doing for 3.32 seconds, which was slower than even some of the bigs that were doing it as well. So there's a lot to work on. Thibodeau is a guy that gets you in shape. This drill is going to be brutal. You're doing 2 a day, sometimes 3 a days, even though he's supposedly eased up a little bit. So hopefully he takes that initiative on his own. And I didn't see that he worked this summer to get in shape for summer league, which was, disappointing to me as a fan.
Yeah, well, like I said, we're not going to be too hard on Keels. We're going to give him a little bit of leeway. Still young, rookie. He'll get himself in shape and he'll definitely show up into the rotation somewhere down the line. Yeah. Now, I think the question I'm going to get to is, so I think we covered about pretty much every main person that played tonight and players that stood out. Besides the players that we talked about tonight, what is one player that you thought played tonight where you were impressed by him? One of the players that we didn't talk about so far?
Probably, I want to give some shout out to Daquan Jeffries. I don't think he's going to get a regular spot in the rotation. He could get an opportunity to sign a two-way contract, or we could stash him in the G League. But I was impressed with his effort. I was impressed with, I think he shot like almost 70% from the field. He hit about 4 shots from what I remember. Most of them were in the second half. He kind of had a stroke from downtown. I remember one three in particular that he knocked down that had a little bit of defense crowding him on the perimeter, but he also chipped in 3 assists. So he was trying to get his opportunity and make the most of the minutes that he was given while still being a part of the flow of the offense and making sure other guys were getting fed too, chipping in 3 assists, 3 rebounds. He had I think he was pretty high into fouls. He had 4 or 5 fouls as well, but didn't turn the ball over. So I like the way that he played within the offense. Those are the type of guys that are good to have on the court because it simulates for guys like Grimes, McBride, and Sims, real game situations where you have to be the focal point when you're the bench squad, and these other guys are going to be more the rotational pieces that are helping facilitate or take open jumpers. It allows for Grimes, McBride, and Sims to take more of the load on offense and play more of a primary role, opposed to having to play alongside of Cam Reddish or RJ Barrett where they're taking all the shots. So I liked what Daquan Jeffries did. I think he was solid. I hope it earns him an opportunity to show what he's got in the G League.
Yeah, I like Daquan Jeffries too. I definitely think he showed up well tonight, especially that one crazy dunk he had, that facial. I think it was on Kuminga, if I remember correctly. And it was funny because they were talking to Kenny Atkinson and they didn't even they wouldn't even concentrate on the game. You just saw him just yamming on somebody and got an and one, and they weren't even paying attention to it. And I was like, come on, man. Like a dunk like that should have definitely gave more attention to, but Yeah, Jaycon Jeffries definitely showed up tonight. He's definitely one of the guys that I had my eye on tonight. But I think another player that I want to talk about, who impressed me tonight, especially his on-ball defense, is Montero at the point guard position.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with his on-ball defense and the way that he was giving Golden State Warriors point guards fits. Yeah, I mean he's a small stature guy. You know, I'm not even sure if he's over 6 feet tall. Looking at him on the court, but
Yeah,
his defense was 6'1" maybe, but his defense to me really stood out tonight. I definitely like his on-ball defense.
I agree. And, it's funny, the two guys that we both mentioned were two of the three highest plus-minus dudes on the court outside of Grimes. I believe Grimes was 1, Jeffries was 2, and Montero was 3. So, the eye test is there. The things that we saw on the court, I think having those guys playing at a high level and giving it on the defense side and facilitating on the offensive side, it helps our young guys, the ones that are going to play in the regular season, to really have opportunities to shine because you have the role players playing their role, setting them up for success.
Yeah, man, most definitely. And I'm going to salute the chat once again. 34 watching. Thank you. I know it's not the usual lineup. I know y'all missing Jay Ellis, but thank you for rocking with us tonight. So again, I want to shout out Sangford, the people I didn't shout out earlier, Kareem Grant, Jason M, Lucas Eureka, and of course, Silvery Gray. Everyone else who's rocking with us tonight, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. So now we're going to get to topics. These are the topics that Jay Ellis recommended for tonight, so I definitely have to get into them. It's not related to Summer League. It's just general Knicks news.
Do it.
So let me find. Okay, so topics to consider tonight. The first one being the Lakers seemingly cut Carmelo Anthony. I know there's been a lot of talk saying that the front office would be open to bringing back Carmelo Anthony. So do you think that the Knicks should actually re-sign Melo?
Melo is my favorite player of all time, which is a very different statement than the best player of all time or the best Knick of all time. He's just my personal favorite. Got his autobiography, got his jersey, got a plush doll, got everything. I love the dude. I think he's a stand-up guy and a great human being. But now is not the time to have him back on the roster. It took moving Albert Burks, Nerlens Noel, Kemba Walker, and Taj Gibson, Thibs' favorite guys, to actually finally have an opportunity for the kids to play. Don't mess that up by bringing in Carmelo Anthony for a farewell tour. This roster is not the roster to add him to it. He's not coming to a team that's going to win. I don't think at this stage of his career he's going to help a team win. He's just going to take minutes away from guys like Obi Toppin and Sims and maybe even Feron Hunt. I would rather see the young guys an opportunity to play, increase their minutes by 4 to 6, between each other, than have Carmelo out there doing back to the basket ISO shots when we're down by 15 to the Bucks. Just doesn't interest me, man. Like, I love Melo. I would prefer Melo go to Clippers, go somewhere where he can win, go to Miami, go somewhere where he might have a chance to win championships and finally get that lifelong dream of winning a chip, not doing, a farewell tour with the Knicks, who probably don't be back either in the lottery or playing tournament next year.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's one of those things where it's like, if the Knicks were in a different situation where the Knicks were actually they were in a position where they were competitive, they're going for a title, then I would like, of course, bring back Melo for that, farewell tour or whatever, because, maybe we actually have a chance to win a chip while he's here with us. But seeing what the team is right now, the team's in a rebuilding phase. Like you said, we got rid of Nerlens Noel, Kemba Walker. Who else we got rid of? Who I'm forgetting right now. Taj Gibson. Like, we got rid of all these other veterans just so that we can get playing time for these young guys. And then what we're gonna re-sign Carmelo Anthony. Then it's like, what's the point?
Exactly.
Like, it doesn't make sense. So, and then on top of that, it's like I said earlier tonight, I think I responded to CK on Twitter when he posted a picture of like Cam Reddish next to Leon Rose. I was like, the picture you should have posted was actually Obi Toppin next to Julius Randle. Right there, that told me Julius Randle's going to be here next season, so we have to prepare for it. So you have Julius Randle here, and then on top they go bring in Melo.
Exactly.
Obi's not seeing the court if that's the case. Yeah. He's not seeing the court.
That's
so it's
exactly what I was on comment on. The situation's already dicey enough between Randle and Obi, who's starting, which one's going to be traded, who deserves to start more. Like, I just want Randle to have a good season to increase his trade value. So hopefully we can move him for picks or some other young players and give Obadiah Toppin the opportunity to start at the 4. Melo, don't put Melo in that situation. Don't make them come in and feel like that every minute he's playing, he's taking away from the crowd favorite while they're chanting Obi. Like, that's not right to Melo. It's not right to Obi. And it's not right to Randall. It's going to mess the team up. And you just know that Tom Thibodeau is going to be in an even weirder situation of where's my loyalty and who should I start? Like, no, I'm not interested, man. Just let Melo go somewhere and win, not come here and lose.
Exactly. Melo, just make sure, when you finally have your Hall of Fame speech, make sure you're going to the Hall of Fame as a Knick. That's all that matters. All right, man. That's exactly all that matters. So the next topic is Taj Gibson obviously being waived. News came out that he signed with the Washington Wizards. So I guess what are your thoughts about the Iron Man, Taj Gibson, and him finally being waived, which is pretty much, opening the lane for Sims to come through, and him signing with the Wizards?
Glad that someone picked him up immediately. I think it shows his worth as really he's became a 3-and-D guy. He added that 3-ball to his game last year and was fairly efficient with it. And, he honestly was also our second best post defender after Mitchell Robinson. I trusted him more than I did Nerlens Noel, and I trusted him a lot more than I did Obi Toppin. Taj was a beast. He was very dependable, huge locker room presence. I think that was one of the reasons why the Knicks wanted to keep him, was purely because of the influence he had on the young guys, developing good habits, encouraging them during the losing. And obviously, he's been a Thibs guy with every stop that Tom Thibodeau's been at. But it came down to minutes, and Taj still wants to play because he still has the ability to play and impact the game. And he's not going to do that in New York with the young kids here. The 4 guys that we got rid of that were all veterans, Burks, Noel, Walker, and Taj. Taj is the only one that I have a lot of that resonates warmly with me, because I like the way that he encouraged the young guys, always on the bench cheering. And when he came to the game, usually we either kept the lead or took the lead. It's one of the things I really liked about Taj was his positive impact on the young core. But I'm going to miss him. But I think there's a silver lining there that guarantees young minutes for our young guys.
Yeah, man. Like me personally, Taj Gibson was one of the few veterans where when Thibs put him in the game, I wasn't like, oh, damn. You know what I mean? Like, because like you said, most of the time when Taj Gibson was in the game, he had a positive impact on the game. I do like the fact that he also developed his game as well while he was with the Knicks, because that's when he developed his corner 3-point shot, and pretty much, good defender as always. Taj Gibson's that veteran that, you already know when he's in the game, he's going to give you defense, he's going to give you strong play, he's going to give you leadership. Taj Gibson is just one of those veterans that you just keep on the team, and he's just gonna be a positive influence on the locker room and all that stuff. So I wish Taj Gibson the best.
Definitely.
In Washington, I mean, I don't know how far he's going to really get with that team. Washington is like probably a borderline playoff team, but wish him the best in Washington. Of course, he's going to be missed in New York.
Yeah, he did a lot for the community too. I know his old school PS 67 in Fort Greene, he had a real big hand in helping them out and donating his time and money and efforts to improving the school system there in the community. So he was just a great person all around, and I'm going to miss him as a human being and a little bit as a player as well.
Yeah, most definitely. All right, so we have 44 in the chat. Thank you, everybody that tuned in tonight. And I think I'm going to end it on this note, because I can't really think of any more topics to talk about. And we're not really doing any calls tonight. We're sorry about that. I don't know if we're going to be doing calls the next show. Jay Ellis should be back, I think, for the 3rd Summer League game. So it might be the same format. I'm not really sure yet. But, once Sunday comes, we will update you on that. So Lee, tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, no doubt. My writings on Posting and Toasting, my piece on 4 reasons you should watch the Knicks Summer League came out today on the site. I got more content in the funnel coming out this weekend, next week, usually 2 or 3 articles a week, and also writing about the NBA at large for Deadspin. Got some fun stuff, writing about the culture of the NBA, covering teams, transactions, trades, signings. You can find my writing on art and music and all kinds of stuff, writing for Vogue, writing for the Grammys online, but the Knicks is where my heart's at.
Most definitely. And as for me, you can find me on Instagram at Sergi is chilling. I don't have Raw or Jay Ellis to do the Sergi is chilling part for me, but it's all good though. That's SIRG is CHILLIN. You can also find me at Sergi's Corner. Content is coming soon. I'm working on that. Also, you can find me on Twitter, Ryan G KOT. And of course, I just got my financial agent license. So if you need help with your finances, you can always hit me up, on any of my social media. Just send me a DM message and I'll definitely help you out with that. And I guess that is our show for tonight.
Give a thumbs up in the chat for the great job Ryan did as host, man.
Thank you. First time hosting. I'm glad y'all approved tonight. And the sound effects ain't there, but as Jay Ellis says, it's a mess out there. And trust me, William Wesley is definitely making it a mess out there because this man got Mark Cuban crying, talking about the Knicks were tampering with Jalen Brunson. So William Wesley is definitely out here making a mess.
Giving a bum anyways. It's all good.
All right. So Knicks fam, thank you for watching. We're out. Peace.
Peace.
York, New York, big city of dreams. New York, big city of dreams. NYC.